Hey everyone, it's the Hey Poopy Podcast. What that booty do from poop to pleasure to health. Hosted by me, Dave.
And me, Ellen, two curious people removing the stigma from your stinker. And why are we doing this? Because we love laughing and learning about butts and helping them to be the best they can be. And on this week's episode, we have PlantPaper. What a fabulous duo, Lee and Scott, for bringing bamboo unbleached toilet paper into our homes.
Yes, and into the world. They spent years developing this product. They have a grippy side and a soft side, so you have like your choice on how you want your bathroom experience to be. They were hilarious. They told us really cool, innovative things they've done developing this product and funny stories, something like this maybe.
I'm confident that most people will no longer be wiping with tree-based toilet paper, and I think in certain parts of the world, bamboo may very well be the like raw material of choice, like where it grows well, grows abundantly, and so forth. And there may also be like other things like hemp and fibers that are byproducts of other agriculture that will be like amazing choices for toilet paper. But for now, like when you think about like a crop that's ideal for a disposable product like toilet paper, because it needs to grow extremely fast and not produce a lot of carbon in the process of being cut down, there's really nothing that compares to bamboo, because not only does it grow super fast, but it also stores a lot of its carbon underground, and all of that carbon remains intact even after you cut it.
So if you tune in, you're going to hear tons of that stuff, and you might even get a little special promo code.
Yes. Go check them out for 25% off at Hey Poopy 25. But listen to the whole episode so you know more about why you want to use this bamboo TP on your butthole.
Yes, your butt will thank you. Also, if you want to know more about Ellen and me, you can check out heypoopypodcast.com. We have all the things that sort of surround the world of poop. We got you covered. So use that promo code, go to the website, and
on to the shit show.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
I'm just, trying to find a place with like-minded people to talk about like-minded things about me, about poop and stuff.
Hey Poopy, how you doing? Hey Poopy, how you doing?
Oh man, what's this right here? Is this a podcast about poop?
yes, it is a podcast about poop.
And so much more. Hey, everybody. This is the Hey Poopy Podcast with
Dave
and Ellen, and this is episode 187, but it'll always be number 2 to us, our very favorite number. And we have very special guests today. We have Lee and Scott from PlantPaper telling us all about the best kind of toilet paper to use for your bunghole.
Yes.
So Lee and Scott, before we go into what you do and who you are, we'd like to go into checking in with our guests first. How have you been pooping recently?
Scott, you want to take it away?
I've been pretty good. I've moved from being at a studio to working from home this last few weeks. So now pooping at home. The studio had sort of a cold bathroom in the back that was nice, like very quiet, and sort of you just go to the hole. Back home. Yeah.
I was thinking cold in temperature.
Yeah, no, cold in temperature, but also like emotionally, which I prefer for like a pooping environment, Yeah.
Sterile lab-like environment.
Yeah, just kind of, not super exciting, not warm. Just you're there to sort of deal with it. Yeah.
Get in and get out.
You're trying to get in and get out. That's why you like the cold? No,
just emotionally, I like the abject. I like the like a sort of starting from nothing kind of vibe, like in the dark almost,
Mm-hmm.
Very philosophical.
Yeah, I hear that.
I do like pooping in the dark. I've talked about that on this show many a times. There's something very nice about like just nothing bother me. Let me just get my business done. So yes, I agree.
I remember, Scott, we years ago, we found some article where somebody was just singing the praises of pooping in the dark and said it could be almost an orgasmic experience.
Yeah, it's like a viral Wired article, I think, from a few years ago.
Yeah,
I can see that.
I'm the same with you. I like pooping in the dark, taking a shower in the dark.
My wife constantly comes in and is like, why the lights off? I'm like, I'm relaxing in here.
Yeah.
I need a moment.
It's like a float tank.
Yes.
A float tank vibe. Yeah. I actually heard a friend of mine just told me a pretty nasty one. This guy was in a float tank and he passed out and then was awakened by an awful stench. and he'd shit in the float tank.
Oh, wow.
And get this. The float company was trying to get him to pay for a new tank because they said it could never be clean.
That's also a lie. If every public pool in New York City was like that, we wouldn't have any public pools.
Definitely.
No
but
way.
those are like run by the state. They like know, this was probably just some private guy who's just like, fuck this, I'm not paying.
Yeah, because he didn't want to clean it out. But
exactly.
Yeah,
not my monkeys, not my circus.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You know, they had to put that sign up that says like no shitting in the deprivation tank.
Yeah, I like this. I found the Wired. I like this quote from it. He sort of ends it here. Follow your breath, follow your bowels, enter into darkness to ignite your innermost fire.
That sounds like some cheesy metal band lyrics.
A ballad. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, you do have to turn on the light to like check out your wiping, make sure you're doing it properly. But
that's true.
Yeah. And Lee, besides your friend pooping in a sensory deprivation tank, how have you been pooping recently?
I'm in a bit of a rut where I find myself needing to go at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I have two little kids, and one's 2 and one is 5 months. And so they're like, I'm often up at night or like think I'm going to be up at night. My sleep is like always a bit disrupted. So sometimes I find myself at like 4 or 5. I wake up, and as I'm like starting to drift back off to sleep, the urge arises, and it's such a bad like realization that it's upon me, because I'm like, shit, I'm gonna have to drag myself to the bathroom. And right now I actually have, you can't see, but I'm in a big like medical boot because I broke my Achilles. I tore my Achilles.
Shit, man.
So like I actually right now I have a bucket next to my bed to pee because I take off the boot for sleeping because you don't want the boot at night is terrible. So I'm not wearing the boot, but that means I can't really get to the bathroom easily. So hence the bucket for peeing. But pooping,
you put that boot back on.
I basically like hop through I hop, and it's uncomfortable and it's whatever. But it's just it's a schlep.
Yeah.
But it's all I can do. So, the quality of the poops themselves is fine, good consistency, good color, but it's just the timing's off right now.
Oh, that's crazy. It's like your body knows that you're relaxed enough to make the poop happen.
Exactly.
Just the wrong time.
Exactly.
Oh my God, I feel for you. I had surgery in November, and it was like I was on crutches for 3 weeks, and the thought of having to go to the bathroom or pee at night, I just was like, you know what? I had to like train myself to be like, you're not gonna go. Like no matter what happens, you're just not. Cause it's such a nightmare to like get up and do all that in the dark.
Totally. Totally.
So yeah.
What's interesting is like how some people respond to anxiety and anxious situations by pooping a ton, and other people respond to it by going completely constipated.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't get it out. It's like 2 very different types of people, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
I'm a shutdown. I'm a no pooping during anxiety. But then it gives me the horrible farts.
Oh yeah.
So I'll be on a job, anxious as all hell, and ripping ass like I'm getting paid for it. But sadly enough, I'm not.
I feel like I get it on both. I get like pre-anxiety before I got to do something or go out somewhere or exercise or do anything like that. Then I got to shit my brains out. And then when I'm doing the thing, it's not, nothing's happening. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I've been there.
What about you, Dave? How have you been pooping recently?
Pretty normal, I guess. I don't know. I mentioned my surgery earlier. And now I have this crazy pinched nerve issue. And it is like, I feel like I'm going crazy because it's just the amount of pain I'm in all the time, specifically from walking, is just crazy. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it'll go away, but it's just like, and it's kind of par for the course for this kind of surgery I had in my hip. but it's just like a fucking nightmare. And I don't know. I feel like I've only been going like maybe like twice a day. I know we go like 2 to 3 times a day, but usually in the morning. And then if I'm at work, it's like once there. And then I've been like pooping at night, which is kind of interesting to me. Like normally I'm like morning, afternoon, night, but you know, it'll all get settled at some point. So we'll see.
Are they a little more solid now that you're not going as often?
They're all over the place. Some are just like huge. I'm like, wow, that's an awesome one right there. That's a quality. And some are just like a total nightmare. Just like a Rorschach pattern. You're like, wow, that's not. What's that about? So it's up and right now it's up and down. I think it's just I'm just I don't know. I'm just stressed from like this. I want this to be over with, but it's a process. Ellen?
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Well, as every episode, especially if we haven't been recording for a while, I'm going to give you guys an epic check-in. I went to Virginia over the weekend from New York, driving down to Virginia with a 4-month-old puppy. Is an 8-hour drive because every time we stopped, we'd have to walk the puppy, and it's not a quick stop. But we had a blast in Virginia. But I brought my travel squatty potty and my travel bidet with me. We were staying in a gorgeous cabin in the middle of the woods that was brand new built. We were the first people to stay at this Airbnb. I mean, it was amazing. The view was incredible, blah, blah, blah. Great. Brand new toilet for me to shit in. And of course, I could not shit the entire time we were at said cabin. And so I was like, if worst comes to worst, after 2 days, I'm going to give myself a suppository. This is crazy. I did shit on the drive down. Like we stopped at a gas station and I ran in because after my morning coffee, it finally hit me. But like the first 2 days we were in Virginia, nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden I told my partner, I was like, let's go antiquing in Virginia. Maybe it's much cheaper. And we found this like weird antique flea market. It was like these little huts, and some of it was just crap. And some of it was like actually amazing antiques. And of course, that's when exactly I had to take a shit. And I go into the public bathroom that looks like it's probably 80 years old. And I was like, okay, I'm going to make this happen. And I explained to my partner, it was like a horror movie shit. It was like 2 inches in diameter and came out, and it just like tapered out, and it was like a foot long. I was like, what the hell is going on with me? It was insane.
That's awesome.
And then I left and went to another antique place, and I had to pee while I was at this other one, which that was all indoors, thank God. The other one was all outdoors, except for the bathroom was kind of indoors. So I go to the other antique mall, got to pee really bad, peed, and as soon as I walked out, I was like, I have to turn right back around and take a poop in there too. Made a humongous poop in there also. And I was like, what's
Same
up
day?
Yes, within like an hour.
Wow.
Whoa.
And I was like,
Till that backed upness.
yeah, why can I only shit while antiquing? Is there something about the smells of old stuff that like got my bowels going?
Yeah, maybe some historical connection and or trauma that's triggering. Yeah.
Maybe just walking around a bunch, you know, like got it moving or something, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
But I was just like, I can't believe this. I carried my squatty potty and my travel bidet all the way to Virginia and back with me, and I never got to use it because I'm too busy shitting in public at antique places. It's like ridiculous.
How was that public bathroom?
Not great, not awful. Could have been a lot worse, but yeah, I was pretty.
Well, when you produce one of that size, do you typically photo it or not? Not necessarily.
I don't, only because I have no one to really share it with. I had for the first couple of years that Dave and I were doing this podcast, I would tell him about these epic shits I made, and he didn't believe me. And then finally I asked for consent to show him. and I like put a ruler next to this epic shit and showed him. And like some of the shit was down in the holes, but he still got to see like 8 inches of it hanging out of the hole. And he was like, oh yeah, that's an epic shit. But of course I can't. I'm like, what's the point of taking I mean, maybe Lee, you might be my new friend that I send these pictures to, and I'll document it for you.
I'd be interested.
Yeah, and it was so crazy because the first antique place, I was like, the urge to shit came so quickly that it was like it felt like diarrhea pains, and I sit down and I'm pushing to the point where I'm like, great, now I'm gonna get a hemorrhoid from this. But it literally came out like 2 inches. I was like, my poor butthole. I don't know how I like birthed this thing, and it was insane. But then it like tapered off like a sperm, like it had a long skinny tail at the end. Yeah.
I feel like I'll, I don't know, the handful of times I can remember where I've like pooped something graphically that's like related to something happening at the moment. It's like a smiley face or a question mark or a letter. And those will definitely get the photo and go into whatever group chat I'm like, thinking about at the moment.
Nice. I mean, I realize the irony in the fact that we have a podcast about shitting, and I don't think I've ever sent a picture of my shit to anybody. Like ever.
Well, yes, you have when you did the blue poop challenge.
That's different. That was a specific. But prior to that, never. I never even thought of it. Never. And even in college, even before smartphones and all that shit, I was like, I don't want to show anybody this. This is like. So yeah, it's weird, but.
I think it's just important to document these like rare specimens when they come, and you'll find the moment will arise when you'll want to share it. You can't necessarily see it.
If that moment happens, I will send it to you, Lee. I'll let you. You're the first person. I knew he was gonna like this.
You've broken the dam.
You may be at the doctor, and it's like, he might be like, do you have a record of this? And you're like, actually, of course, I have an entire folder, 40 of these.
Exactly, I have a whole series actually, if you want.
Well, I've gone into depth about describing them on this podcast for 187 episodes. If worse comes to worse, I could send a doctor
that's
here.
True. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or an OnlyFans. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's this website in Europe that we're dying to get on the show called Scatbook, but the guy who runs it is European and he doesn't speak any English, and so I keep asking him to send us an ambassador that speaks English. But I could probably post it on there, maybe make some money from it. It's like OnlyFans for shit. So yeah,
that's pretty gnarly.
Is that in Germany? That sounds like a German thing.
I have not figured out what country in Europe. I know it's Europe, but yes.
Every dollar, it's Germany.
No, but knowing our luck, it's probably something like more obscure.
Or one of those weird, like Eastern Bloc countries.
European. Yeah.
Yeah. There was that cool Zizek thing where he was talking about like the German toilets. I think it was German toilets, English toilets, and French toilets are all like very differently set up. And I think it was the German one that kind of has, or the Germanic, I think it's in Austria too, like it has the sort of
shelf.
The collecting area where it's like literally it's meant to encourage inspection.
Yes.
And then what was it like in France? There's one of them where it just goes straight down, like you don't want to see it at all. And then the German was like, it's right there in front of your face. And then I forget and the other one was maybe, I think the French one was it goes into water. Because it's like, that's kind of like pretty and, like a bit more,
the
romantic.
The difference between the shelf and going into water smell-wise is huge. Water muffles a lot of that smell.
It's like,
it's crazy. Sometimes, I don't know if you guys do like a kind of, if it's mellow, if it's yellow, let it mellow type thing. But, sometimes at the end of like early in the morning when I'll do these shits, like, my wife has, peed a few times, whatever. There's like a bunch of TP in there, just sort of, and then I'll shit. And then I'm like, God, that is awful. And I realize it's because it's like not submerged.
Yes.
And it's like, gosh, is that how it smells all the time? And the answer is yes. It's just, we don't know.
It smells in and out of the water. Just if I lived in Germany, I'm getting a new toilet instantly.
Well, I know somebody who said that they would like AC Slater it. They'd like sit on the toilet backwards because the hole is closer to the front. And so when they then did that, then the shit wouldn't sit on the shelf. It would just go straight into the hole. Mm-hmm. So there are hacks. Strategy. Yeah.
Could you imagine having to do that though? That would suck every time. Well, this is my hack. I gotta sit backwards on the toilet.
Wait, the things you have to do to not smell your own shit.
Yeah. There's a nice armrest with the tank though.
That is true.
Yes. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
You can kind of think.
Yeah.
Especially for you, Lee, when you're pooping in the middle of the night, you can sleep that way.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I've rigged up some pretty cool stuff with the leg injury. Like I have like stools and, all kinds of, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And just to follow up, I did poop also today, now being back from Virginia, and I made one of those, as I like to call it, a twins poop. It's like Arnold Schwarzenegger next to Danny DeVito. Like one is long and big and thick, and the other's skinny and kind of like, really? What is that? So, I mean, yeah, it's been a roller coaster for me, as it always is.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a mess. Well, we definitely delved into everybody's shit here. We should probably get into. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
Lee,
still
let's
laughing about
Lee
the
and Scott tell us about how you got into the world of selling shit tickets.
Well, I would like to tell you that we both dreamed of being toilet paper entrepreneurs from a young age, but that isn't the case. We had our other dreams, which were crushed along the way. But we found our way to the humble toilet paper. I guess it was like 6-7 years ago now. We first started talking about it.
Oh, wow.
And I think where it started was we have a mutual friend, Josh, who introduced us. And I think he was watching TV late one night and saw one of those kind of like old school Discovery Channel or like some kind of How It Works show, but like, like produced in the 90s, where it was like inside a toilet paper factory. And it got his wheels turning, and he ended up Googling a bit and kind of was like discovered that toilet paper as it's conventionally produced is like really bad in a lot of ways. There's like there's the tree part, which is hugely bad, but also the chemical processing that goes into it is like not only bad environmentally, but like quite toxic in the body.
Yeah.
And, obviously paper is like something that you're introducing into your body in a very like vulnerable, permeable area. And so we kind of got us thinking about this, and we started doing some more research, and turned out there was like studies that show that normal toilet paper actually like could exacerbate or cause hemorrhoids and vaginitis and anal fissures and all kinds of stuff. And I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. And a ton of people suffer from that stuff, as you guys, I'm sure, know, even though it's like not widely spoken about. Like a lot of people have weird stuff going on in their asses and vaginas and in that general region, uncomfortable stuff. And it turns out like toilet paper is a major culprit on top of all these other issues, which are arguably like even worse for the fate of the planet. So we were like, wow, this is like a crazy thing that nobody knows about. Very few people know about. And like, maybe we should help to, A, kind of like tell this story. It sounds like it could be fun. And B, find a solution. And I guess it was like, for me personally, it was like fun to turn our attention to something that was so, that most people just like don't think about, don't talk about. It's just like you kind of like leave toilet paper production to like the handful of big companies, and kind of like that's it. You don't engage with those brands in the way that you might engage with other brands in your life. And we were just like, hey, that sounds like a cool opportunity to actually be the company that like a brand name that people like know about and care about with respect to toilet paper, and just kind of seemed like fun. And so Josh introduced Scott and I. We didn't know each other prior to that, though I had been a fan of Scott's work as a graphic designer for like years before. And Josh was like, I think you guys should meet. Maybe you guys can work on this together. And then we went down the hole, and spent a couple of years developing the paper and having lots of conversations about what we wanted from our wiping experience and so on, and what kind of brand we needed to be. And, that was like 4 or 5 years ago now.
Wow,
That's awesome. So you have had PlantPaper for 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, we launched, like we sold our first rolls in 2019, but we had been working on the product with different manufacturers from like 2017.
Oh, wow.
So it took a while.
If you launched in 2019, the 2020 toilet paper scarcity help the business?
Yeah. It was a massive boom. Like, you know, we were sort of just like, you know, we were just kind of doing our thing for the last months of 2019. It was sort of like in the beta phase. Like we weren't really doing anything to push the product. We just kind of wanted to see if people actually liked it. And it was seeming like they did. Like people were getting really excited about it, but we didn't have any money to like grow the business or spend on marketing or anything. And then COVID hit and our sales essentially 10x'd overnight. And what was crazy was, you know, we were offering like a subscription product, and the subscription was like, look, if you sign up with us, like we promise you will not run out of toilet paper. Like whatever's happening in the world, like we have you covered. And people really responded to that. And, you know, people who probably like would not necessarily otherwise have been looking for a new toilet paper or a new toilet paper sort of like system in their lives because of COVID, they weren't going to the grocery store. They were trying to get everything delivered online. Nobody had toilet paper, and we were there to offer this alternative. And like the majority of those people, the vast majority of those people from those months, March, April, May, 2020, are still subscribers, you know, a couple of years later. So it was like, it was definitely it had its silver lining for PlantPaper in a major way, COVID.
Yeah, I had a subscription to another company at the time that I will not mention because I don't think that they have ethical practices. That's why I ended my subscription with them. But I literally got a huge box out 2 weeks before lockdown. And everybody was like, I heard you have toilet paper. And I was like, I do, a lot of it. But yeah, subscription toilet paper is the best thing to ever hit. And then Dave and I had another advertiser that we really loved their toilet paper, and they just stopped doing it. So I then searched out, I was like, I really like non-bleached bamboo toilet paper. What is out there? And I came across your company and I was like, yay, I'm going to subscribe to this. So I was a subscriber before you all came on the podcast.
Amazing. Love to hear that.
And my butt enjoys it.
Oh, that's
I gotta get the train.
that makes my day.
Do you use the double-sided feature at all? Have you found any?
I do. I like the smoother more than the grittier side, but Dave is somebody who always talks about that he likes a grittier toilet paper. I do like the option though, and I get the option of the smooth versus gritty, but I do have, as Dave always forgets, and I think a lot of men forget, but I need to use it for my front half a lot too. And I don't want grit on that side of me.
Yeah. We call that side grippy.
Grippy.
Yeah. Yeah, but I have heard this from a lot of women that they prefer the smoother, the dabbing side.
Yes. I also have a bidet, so dabbing is much easier for that, even on the back side too.
That makes a lot of sense. Like if you're basically taking care of business with the bidet and then you're just kind of doing like check wipes or drying wipes, then I totally get the smooth side exclusively. For me, and I mean, not to, obviously, and everybody can and should use PlantPaper however it suits them and their anatomy and their unique needs. But for me, like, as a non-vagina having person, like I have no need for the silky side effectively. Like it's PlantPaper for me is a tool for cleaning my butt after pooping. And in that context, the grippy is everything. It's like, and I think like what Scott's, it's like there's a difference between scratchy and grippy. Like there's thin, scratchy toilet paper that's going to like abrade, and then there's like a kind of intentional grippiness that's more like it's grabbing, it's picking up stuff, because you don't want to. It's like people talk about like, oh, I want a really soft toilet paper, but like if you could wipe your butt with like a silk handkerchief, like it would feel good, I guess, and it would leave like a ton of shit behind.
Yes.
It would probably just get stuck in there and slip.
Just smear it all
It
around.
would just be a smearing thing. Exactly.
Lee, Dave, have you guys ever done any male post pee wiping?
Man, probably. I'm older now,
caught
so like,
on to it a little bit.
I've done that like as I'm older now. Like I noticed like when I pee, sometimes I feel like there's like a little like leftover, and I've grabbed the roll and been like, all right, just let me double check and make sure. It's like,
I think it should be an absolutely mandatory part of the learning process when you're learning to wipe as a little boy. You know, like, come on, like it's no matter how many times you shake, there's always a little bit left.
This is in the chamber.
And it just takes one sheet to dab that out. But it's just like, why is it sort of like, have we become like socialized to think it's normal to just like sprinkle a few drops of pee into your underwear several times a day? Like that's not clean.
No.
Oh, even just the feeling of like being out to dinner and returning to the dinner table, but knowing that a few drips hit, you just like that shame inside.
Would you have that weird
I can never recover into a conversation after that.
I've had that weird thing every once in a while, like where I'll go to the bathroom, I'm like, okay, I'm done, and then like I put my underwear, and then it's like this random like spout just comes. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, and now I'm like, I gotta like wipe it off with like water. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Like, that's every once in a while that happens. I'm like, what is going on here? Like, you get, and it's zero sensation, and then it's just like whap in your underwear.
I mean,
100%. I mean, sometimes
my dad, before he passed, he was in his 80s, and that would happen a lot where he'd come out of the bathroom and there'd be like a quarter size stain. And I was like, I mean, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but I'm like, you gotta pat that off before you put your underwear back on.
Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes you do, and it's like, whoa. And there's like like, it's just, it's like a cable.
There's a little bit of tolerance if you're a jean wearer, but if you're a slack wearer, you're absolute zero tolerance.
Was he wearing like light colored slacks?
It's it's like a one ply sheet.
You better get like black pants, dude.
Have you guys Googled Liam Neeson pees his pants?
No.
Google that after this show. There are way too many photos of Liam Neeson taking fan photos with somebody with a huge stain on the front of his pants.
Wow.
Where's Liam Neeson?
Wow.
The actor from like the Taken series.
Liam Neeson. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry, I said.
I think you're combining Liam Neeson and Leslie Nielsen, which is amazing.
Leslie most definitely doesn't have any pee stains, but Taken.
I was going to say I could see him pulling it off actually much better than Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen does have some great interviews where he brings a fart machine to it.
Oh, yeah,
and there's some great videos of that, like multiple interviews where he's like using a fart machine to fuck up the interviewer.
One of the great masters.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Really good. But
these are unreal.
Oh, Scott's already Googling.
That should be part of your new like push for PlantPaper. To be like, don't be like Neeson.
Don't walk around like this.
I do think, maybe we do need to just like do a little campaign to get people wiping. It's just a courteous, hygienic thing to do for men. Penis having people.
Yeah. And going back to your paper, when I was searching for a brown, non-bleached paper out there, I was so surprised how even some of the bamboo companies are still bleaching it. Because I guess the average human being still wants white toilet paper, which I have preferred the brown so much more. I feel like there's something gross about excrement on white paper, where brown I feel like kind of disguises it enough for it to be a little bit easier for me. And then, as you were pointing out, Lee, the bleach and the chemicals that they put on that can be really bad for your vulva, your butt, fissures, hemorrhoids, all the rest of it. And it even makes me go back to like how just a couple decades ago we used to have colored toilet paper and scented toilet paper, which that shit was so fucking bad, especially for the vulva owning population. And it's like insanity. Like, yeah.
Totally. I mean, you're right that a lot of people are still really attached to white paper. Like, it's like one of those weird things. And we've like looked into this issue and read a lot on this issue, because it's just obviously like being a brown toilet paper brand is like a big choice, like there really aren't that many. And, like sometimes we're talking to stores, investors, whatever, and they're like, well, I think it should really be white. And we're just like, that's a no. It's a big no for us. But it's like, well, like, why are people so hooked on it? And it's like, there's a whole interesting history around like, sort of like the emergence of hygiene as like a class thing at the beginning of the 20th century, late 19th century. And it's like, it actually goes like all the way back to people, like aristocrats who used to wipe with like a white, like doily type thing, which was like a doily piece of linen called like a toile, which is like actually like toilet is like toile. That's the connection. And it's like, of course you could only do that if you were super rich. Like you could only do that if you could afford to like soil these white linens with shit and then have some poor person, clean them off and whatever. Yeah. So it's like, there's a whole class like thing there. And then I think there's also like a sort of like a early 20th century, like germs are bad and like sanitation means white. It means clean. Like bathrooms should be like completely white because then you can see if there's germs and dirt. But obviously, like you can't see germs, and like a room can look incredibly white and still be like full of germs. So it's all like a bullshit, meaningless association, but it's one that's really deeply ingrained, and we kind of like we have to push back on it a lot. But I think like people have come along with us, and like once, like you're saying, once you kind of understand why white is white and understand why unbleached is unbleached and why that's better, I think you can sort of form the other association where you're like, we have people to say to us all the time, they're like, I'm never going back to that white shit. Like,
yes,
if when I walk into my friend's bathroom and I see the white toilet paper, I'm like, what's up with this? Like, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, disgusted.
That Airbnb I just stayed out in Virginia had like, I don't know what brand, because I didn't see the packaging because they just had a bunch of rolls, but it was that super plush white toilet paper. And Dave and I always talk about that gives you the teepee crumbles. Like you get lint in your area. And I hate wiping with it. It almost feels like there's like a film on it. I really am. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting to the point where like I travel with my own pillow. Am I going to be traveling with my own toilet paper?
That's amazing.
Have you guys looked up any of there's some photos online of sort of macro shots of anal skin after a wipe, showing micro abrasions from sort of the formaldehyde and like micro bits that are in some toilet paper. And that's really what starts to like inflame your anus. It then creates these infections, and you can see like a ton of lint left behind when you're looking at it up close.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. I don't know. Maybe I have a penetrable ass. I've never had that issue before. But I mean, to your point, yes, I prefer obviously like a natural TP or something that's a little bit like less abrasive and like obviously less toxic. But I mean, if I go into a public place, as long as there's TP in there. Like for sure, like I wish it was like something like your brand, but like as long as there's tea, because there's nothing worse when you go into a stall and there's like that little bit of like TP stuck on the brown roll part. You're just like, I'm fucked.
Yeah,
we're working on little travel packs, actually, like 30 sheet travel packs.
That's amazing.
In every bag you have, just in case.
That's amazing. See, that's cool. That's great.
The only thing is, I sometimes think it's so great when I'm like away. I go away or vacation. I'm away for a few days out of town. I come back to my bathroom and I'm like, yeah. Plant paper. Like that feels so good because it's like, you know this, but it's like it's a bigger sheet size, and it's like I put it on. I'm just like, it's like getting into my king bed with like beautiful sheets after sleeping like some shitty twin bed with old scratchy sheets.
I'm
like,
with you.
I kind of like that feeling of if I brought it with me everywhere, I wouldn't have the opportunity. But I mean, Dave, I think like what you're saying, there's something there too. Like plant paper, better than nothing.
I mean, look, I to echo what you're saying too. Traveling, like when I don't have my bidet, it's just like going to the bathroom without a bidet now. It sucks. it's the absolute worst. And like, I get super excited to travel. I love traveling, and then you always forget. I always forget. I'm like, oh yeah, what's the bathroom situation going to be like? Because that's the thing. It's like I was.
Do you ever just jump in a shower to do like that kind of like douche bidet?
I've done that, but I mean, if I'm out, like I was in Indonesia for 3 weeks. Like obviously, there were some places where you couldn't just, it's like a hole in the ground.
True.
Zero time. But
Lee was telling me the other day about, have you guys ever hit an Ace before?
What's an Ace?
What, hardware store?
No, I think Ace Hardware's has gone out of business, but Ace, Ace where you need zero wipe.
We call it.
What do you got for it?
We call it the no push, no wipe. It's the perfect Bristol 4.
I like Ace though.
That's what we call it.
No push, like it came out without any effort and you didn't have to wipe.
Yeah, the no push, no wipe.
There's hardly a better feeling in the world. There's hardly a better feeling. I like 15 years ago, I went to India for several months. And for the first couple of months I was there, I was on like a strictly vegetarian diet, like not even by choice. It was just like where I was, nobody ate anything other than vegetables. And for that 2-month period, nothing but aces. It was incredible. And it gave me, it felt to me like a sign that like, gosh, maybe like we are supposed to be vegetarian. Like anatomically, this just seems to like agree, but then I broke it and things fell apart.
I mean, I do think it also has to do with like different people have different diets. I know some people who tried to be vegans and then got really sick, and so they have to have some kind of animal protein in them. But yes, I do believe a lot of diet. I mean, look at our pets. When my puppy eats really healthy every single day, she shits perfectly where it doesn't need to be wiped. It just comes out, no push, no wipe. But if we throw something at her different, like if she picked up a pretzel from the floor that she wasn't supposed to eat, it's going to get messy the next day. So yeah, I mean,
it is interesting though, how like anatomically we are like, our bodies are such that like we, in most cases, like need to wipe, like because we sit on our asses and because we run and, because we're upright, essentially like for both of those two reasons, we have big asses, relatively speaking, but like if you're like a cat, like you never sit on your asshole. Like it's just not a thing. So you don't have any like haunches, but like, it's only because of our haunches that there's like a cavern that needs to be excavated with a wipe versus like, it's just there, it poops out and it doesn't touch anything on the way out. Yeah.
I mean, that's like why the squat position is actually better for us as being animals. We're not supposed to be sitting with our feet on the floor. It's supposed to be more of a squat where our knees are closer to our body for it to come out properly, Totally. So yeah.
What is the travel squatty potty like?
It's just, it folds up and it's like, and then when you get somewhere, it unfolds.
Oh, cool.
It's not the most ideal for like, if I'm flying somewhere, I rarely bring it with me, but if it's a car trip, I always bring it with me.
Cause I was on the squatty potty for a couple of years and then we like moved away for a while and I didn't bring it. And then I just kind of like, for a long time, I was actually, I was like working at a school and I would, go have to take a shit in the day and I would like go into the bathroom and I would just put up the seat and stand on the edges of the bowl so that I could achieve the squat. Cause at that point I was like, I had seen the squatty potty video, and like, it really, anybody who's seen it, like ingrains itself deeply. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, I don't want to be choking off my anal sphincter every time. It's just like, it's such a hard
balloon knot.
Yeah,
exactly. It's such a hard image to get out of your head. So I was like, I gotta stand. I'm literally like, I'm like squatting in this, like middle school bathroom, my like butt hovering over the water. And
but it also comes out easier.
It does. No, it does. But at a certain point I was just like, there are so many instances where I don't have the squatty potty that I need to just like reconcile myself to just, I can't always have the squatty potty. And I don't anymore.
Yeah. There is a travel squatty potty that you can blow up like a balloon, or like a pool floaty, but there's something about putting my mouth on something that has been so close to me shitting that just doesn't seem appealing.
Put your feet around that thing.
Yeah.
That's gross.
So,
Pass for me.
but
I have a friend that calls asses turd cutters, which I always love.
Turd cutters.
I visited a friend in Vegas and I was staying with her a couple weeks ago, and I texted her as I was packing. I was like, "You have a bidet, right?" And she like texts me back laughing. She's like, "Yes, I do." And a squatty potty, one of the stools. And I was like, "Oh, great. Cool. Those are the things I don't need to pack with me."
It's a good trend.
Yeah.
Should we get in some questions?
Yes. Is there anything else, Scott and Lee, you want to tell us about your paper before we go into our regular questions?
Lee, anything?
I think we, I think at point is, look, like if people are, curious about upping their toilet paper game, the product really speaks for itself, so I think you give it a try. And I think people typically after, the first wipe, first shit or two, you're kind of like, oh, that's different, and then by like 3, 4, 5 shits in, you're kind of like, I can't go back. And so I think, obviously, we're excited for people to try it. And that's what they should do. I think it sells itself once you give it, take it for a spin a few times.
To me, it's like the bidet too. It's like, I don't know how I lived without a bidet.
Yeah.
I don't know how I lived without this kind of toilet paper before. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I think me and Lee are both very obsessive by nature with just sort of digging into things, figuring out the details, trying to unravel why a thing is that way. And toilet paper is just this like perfect vehicle to sort of dig deep and go almost like Minority Report Tom Cruise on just connecting the pieces on why the industry has been the way it is. And I think we've just been trying to sort of unravel it bit by bit, all the way down to like how you get it, how it arrives, making our digital presence very easy and easy to sort of modify for however your household needs it. I don't know.
I mean,
I think, yeah.
Yeah, we haven't really touched on that, but like, Scott's getting at like toilet paper is like a kind of, because it's really just like a small handful of companies that have been like dominating the industry for the last century. Like it's kind of secretive, like people don't really know. And it's an enormously powerful lobby, like the paper industry. Yeah. And it's one of those things where like it has taken a lot of time for us to uncover things and put together the pieces. And, the Natural Resources Defense Council, NRDC, has like done a lot of really cool reporting as far as like exposing some of the lies and the myths about like, we're foresting, responsible forestry, and we're replanting the trees and all that stuff. And it's like, it's largely bullshit. Like it's not that it's all untrue, but it's mostly bullshit. And there's really no such thing as responsible forestry at that scale to make a product like this, So it's been like and then obviously on like kind of the chemical side, it's like, there's just all kinds of stuff. We talk a lot about shrinkflation, like toilet paper rolls have appeared to get bigger over the last decade or two, when actually there's less pulp used in every roll than there used to be. Like all the rolls used to be 4¼ inches across, even 4.5 inches across. Now you're hard pressed to find one that's over 4. They're mostly like 3.9 inches, which doesn't seem like a lot, but like that 1/4 inch or 3/4 inch, obviously like multiplied by the other dimension, is actually like it's a huge difference, like a 20% difference in the surface area of the paper. And it's kind of sometimes the difference between having to like take another 3 sheets of paper, which is exactly what they want you to do.
Yes, of course.
They're like optimized for selling you. They want you to buy like use as much as you can, buy as much as you can, think you're getting a good deal on it because it looks big. They're pumping it full of air. There's a process that's basically designed to bulk it up. So you're like, oh yeah, that's a huge ass roll. And it's like, no, actually that if you didn't have the air, it would be a tiny roll. Yeah. So it's just like, it's a lot of deception, and it's been kind of like, it's been fun to sort of sleuth it out and bring people up to speed and, obviously offer something that's, a lot more transparent.
And going back, you guys use bamboo for yours
We do.
too, right? And so
Yeah.
bamboo is so much more sustainable because it grows faster. And like where I was staying in Virginia, they actually called it the bamboo forest when you first went down the street. There was a huge thing of bamboo, and they were like, and I was like, the bamboo's so pretty, and they're like, don't ever plant it. It grows so fast, it takes over. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard that, but it's great for toilet paper.
Totally. No, I mean, bamboo is a grass, it's in the grass family. So it's like grass, you cut it and it grows back like within weeks. I mean, bamboo doesn't necessarily grow back within weeks, it grows back within months, but like it
in comparison to a tree.
Yeah. And given its height, like when it grows back in months, we're talking like it covers meters over the course of a period of months. So it's like, I think like Scott and I, I say like, in 100 years, is everybody around the world going to be wiping with bamboo? Not necessarily. I think I'm confident that most people will no longer be wiping with tree-based toilet paper. And I think in certain parts of the world, bamboo may very well be the like raw material of choice, like where it grows well, grows abundantly and so forth. And, there may also be like other things like hemp and fibers that are byproducts of other agriculture that will be like amazing choices for toilet paper. But for now, like when you think about like a crop that's ideal for a disposable product like toilet paper, because it needs to grow extremely fast and not produce a lot of carbon in the process of being cut down, there's like really nothing that compares to bamboo, because not only does it grow super fast, but it also stores a lot of its carbon underground, and all of that carbon remains intact even after you cut it. Like unlike a tree, you cut it, the tree's dead, you got to plant something else. The carbon is just holding it all underground in the soil. So it's kind of, it's really ideal for what we're doing.
Yeah.
We talk about tree washing too, or sort of tree planting campaigns that the larger paper and TP industry talk about often. And we like get a lot of comments on Instagram and ads that people be like, well, they replant the trees. They're cutting them down and replanting them. And
it's like great. They'll reach like maturity in 50 years when we're all like fried and underwater.
Yeah. I think the bell curve is I think what was that 100 years is when the tree really starts to be a top performer. There's some fact it's like 40% of all above ground carbon is stored in the top 3% of trees.
Exactly. The big ones, like once they surpass, I think it's like 40 or 50 years, they really start packing it on, and then it sort of like increases exponentially as they get bigger. But like none of these trees that get planted by the forestry companies ever reach that age.
Oh, no
So
way.
it's like they're planting them and then they cut them down 20 years later when they literally haven't done anything.
Yeah.
Versus bamboo, you're saying can regrow in months.
Yeah, exactly.
Versus years. And decades.
Like if you plant bamboo, it takes like 3 years to reach the place where you can start cutting it. But once it reaches that age, maturity, you can do it multiple times a year and have it regrow.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was a guy that made, I think his name was Caffey or something like that. He's a bicycle designer, and he made a bike out of bamboo, just like, because it was so strong. And then he actually, as a product now, you can buy a bike made out of bamboo.
That's amazing.
It's so strong.
It's growing in like the like housing and construction materials and floors. Like it's so, I mean, it's the hardness. Like it has a lot of cool sort of like performance features that aren't even relevant to toilet paper, but they're relevant to like a ton of other industries.
Yeah, for sure.
And I got some ramen last night, and I had the edible bamboo in it. And so I was Googling, tell me more about edible bamboo. And it's a great source of fiber. So eat it, it'll make you poop it out, and then you wipe with it.
Perfect. It's like a perpetual motion machine.
Yes.
Exactly. So let's ask you all some of our regular questions. Does anybody want to go first? Besides your preference of toilet paper, Dave and I love to know, do you put it on the roll over or under?
I'm over.
Lee?
I'm under. I become under because I'm reaching for the underside of the paper. I want the grippy side, which is on the inside, and when I go under it, it kind of gives that right to me.
Nice. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, Dave is an under, I'm an over. Lady vulva. Dave is only wiping with the grippier side, so that makes sense. And do Scott and Lee, do you sit or stand to wipe?
I'm a croucher, right, sort of in between, not a full stand, but definitely rising above a good foot. Yeah.
To get in there?
Oh, wow.
So people full stand? How do you full stand?
We don't really know, but we've had them on the show.
I'm gonna
That's
confess.
incredible.
I know.
I'm gonna confess. I was a full stander when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think nobody told me anything else. I was just like, you just stand up, and I was like, I don't know. I felt it seemed right at the time, and I think I also was a bit, honestly, I think I was a bit nervous about sticking my hand into the toilet water and touching the poop.
Right.
That's really probably the reason.
We've had guests on that said the same thing. Like they started as a kid. No one ever told them different. And then when they got to college or something, like someone might have come on and was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm wiping my ass." It's like, "Why are you fucking standing?" It's like,
Yeah, we had one guest last summer who was like, "Is that why I have shit stains in my underwear?"
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely decreases your kind of access. Like it narrows
everything's closed up.
the canal somewhat. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel. I mean, even for me, from my, I do a little bit of yoga, and from I like a downward dog or a cat to get the chest out and sort of dip the lower back, so I'm really spreading the cheeks as far apart as possible to get the least amount of
Whoopie pie.
anything on. Yeah, whoopie pie. Yeah.
Do you ever do a tilt to one side and sort of use the friction on the one cheek to spread the cheek? Like you sort of you hook the one cheek on the thing and then pull your other butt cheek the other way just with your body, and that can kind of do that too.
So my partner does that. He's a leaner, and because of it, he's broken many, not just one, many toilet seats because of the weight distribution.
Right. Yeah. Well, if
it leaves one cheek on the seat and lifts up. Wow.
Yeah, it's not a good thing when you're over a 200-pound man.
I guess I'm in a period right now because of this medical boot. Well, actually, prior to the medical boot, I was in a soft cast and I couldn't put any weight on it. So normally my move was to basically, I'm right-handed, so I'd put most of my weight into my left foot and kind of use that foot to elevate a little bit and then get my right hand in to do its thing. But now I can't put any weight on my left foot. Like I can only use my right foot and I can't, there's nothing to anchor me on the left side. So it just doesn't work. So right now, well, I shouldn't say right now, but now I'm in the hard boot. In the soft boot period, I was wiping from the front for the first time ever. Because it was sort of all I could do with a bum left leg. And it's not great, I have to say, like trying to go, because obviously, trying to go back to front, but from the front, not.
And you've got balls in your way. You don't want to get shit on your taint. Like it's just a mess. Yeah,
exactly. No, you got to kind of hold with one hand. You're just clearing that up.
Jesus.
Just you kind of throw it over your shoulder, and then you're okay.
What was your accident again with your foot that you're in the boot?
I tore my Achilles, like a full rupture of my Achilles.
Did you
tendon.
do it while you were leaning on that foot wiping for years after?
That would be a much cooler story.
You're taking a shit and blow out your Achilles.
Sorry, I had to go there.
That'd be amazing. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with that story.
Scott and Lee, what are your first memories of poops and farts as a child?
I don't have a lot of memories of poops and farts beyond just the normal. Was just a lot of fun and no specific traumas for me or glory moments.
I think my earliest memory of farts and poops was kind of, I don't know if it was, I think it was traumatic in a way. Like in retrospect, it's funny, but I think probably it was traumatizing at the time. I was probably like 7 and I was doing something, I don't know what, and I really had to shit. I was in my parents' house. I don't know why I was trying to hold it in. I guess I just didn't feel like removing myself from whatever activity was going on. And then I knew I had to go, but I was like, I'm just going to keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it, keep pushing it. And then suddenly it was like, shit, I think this might be too late. And I like made a mad dash for the bathroom. And I was maybe like 7 or 8 feet from the bathroom. I can picture exactly where it was. And I just realized that my underwear, my underpants, they were like, whatever, like superhero little tidy whities were full. And I was just like, I just sat down. I mean, I guess I probably squatted, and I was like, Mom,
will help.
Yeah. And that's definitely the first pooping memory I have. But I'm like very conscious right now of the formation of pooping and farting memories because of my son, who's 2.5, and he's like just going through potty training, and he thinks pooping and farting is like so funny. Like he uses the word dump to describe pooping, which just like I think is the best thing ever. Like the other day, I forget if I was telling you this, but he was just like, he got this Batman thing. So he's really into superheroes. And he was like, his name is Saul. So he was like Super Saul, Super Dad, Super Mom, Super Grandma, Super Dump. And I'm like, oh, Saul, that's amazing. Super Dump. And then he was like, super dump, we're a happy family. And I just thought it was the funniest thing.
Wow.
And it made me so proud on some weird level that like he was finding humor in this thing that for me like is just like timelessly funny. Like like farts, poops, like all of it is like, it is to me kind of like proof that God loves us and like has a sense of humor.
But also just at its root level, I mean, a family that's pooping healthy is a happy family. I mean, he's so spot on.
Totally.
100%.
Totally.
Yeah.
Aww.
In the family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what other products do you all use to help you with pooping besides your fabulous toilet paper? Do you use bidets, supplements, stools? You kind of talked about the squatty potty before, or anything that we've never even heard of.
Just PlantPaper for me, essential. Everything else, yeah. I've even gone no phone lately, so like really just nothing. But yeah,
that is an important one. No phone will keep the hemorrhoids away.
Agreed.
Sure, toxic people.
Yeah.
That's what the 120-year-old woman said recently.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's a good point.
And Lee?
I don't really have constipation often, but on the rare occasion that I do, well, I mean, we're talking about things in general for pooping. No, like I was into the squatty potty. I'm off that. I'm purely PlantPaper at this point. I don't really use wipes unless like an extreme emergency situation where I've used like 50 sheets and I still can't get it all out. And sometimes I would turn to a baby wipe, but typically PlantPaper gets the job done. But as far as like other accessories for pooping, like, the only thing I really turn to is like a magnesium on occasion. If I'm like, magnesium powder seems to really get me going. Magnesium, aloe vera.
Yeah.
Those are both good ones.
Yeah.
And our last but favorite question of the hour. There is 0 toilet in sight, and Bristol 7 butt pee-pee is coming out. Do you poop in your pants or somewhere on the floor? Scott and Lee, what do you do?
Floor pooper all the way. Easy cleanup.
So we're talking diarrhea.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's no toilet in sight.
I'm definitely floor. I mean, as we have wood floors and we have kids that befoul them on a regular basis. So like, that's just part of
probably poop on the floor at the moment.
Yeah.
No, they're not even a question. So I'm used to cleaning up poop from the wood floors. It's cool. It doesn't stain much. So I have, as somebody who's pooped in my pants a couple times in my adult life, like that, it sucks. And, you typically have to throw away the underwear, if not the pants. So, I wouldn't do that.
I feel like this one's always a big question to me is like, if you do poop your pants, it happens.
Yeah.
Are you a hose cleaner? Are you like a backyard cleaning out with the hose first to get, the heavy whatever shit out of there first? Are you a sink cleaner? I tend to go outside and I need to get the hose out, and it's deep in the backyard somewhere.
It sounds like you both have had this happen. So tell us said story. You were in the backyard, Scott, hosing yourself off?
Oh, I've definitely shit my pants. I mean, not like a frequent pants shitter, but
No, it's happened to all of us.
Yeah,
Dave and I have both had it happen in the past a little over a year. So
I think it's happened to everyone.
Parts are apart sometimes.
Yeah.
100%.
Do you have a memorable shit your pants
That's
story?
normal and healthy.
Yeah. Do you have a memorable one?
I have a pretty memorable one. I was at like my college reunion. This was maybe like 12 or 15 years ago, maybe like 12 years ago. And, it was Sunday morning, a couple days of parties, like nasty, nasty hangover. And I went to this place, like a real like divey, greasy type spot for lunch. And they served these chicken tenders that were like a tiny pinky sized like shred of chicken surrounded by like 4 inches of like frying material, like batter. Basically just like a sponge of grease surrounding like a thin finger of chicken.
Oof.
I had a few bites, and I'm pretty sure it was like a fart into shit situation. Like I was just like, let a little air out, let a little steam off, and I realized like it was a full Bristol 7. But so I waddled over to the bathroom and carefully took off my pants, and fortunately the underwear, I'm actually like a tidy whitey guy, have been for a long time, so meaning I had good entrapment. Yeah. And I was able to just dispose of the underwear, and no one was
free ball it.
The wiser. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, I feel bad for the guy who went into the bathroom next.
You're like, sorry, man. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
What about you, Scott?
And Scott, did you have the similar situation when you were hosing yourself out from the backyard?
Not really, like not a huge story. Just like, one of those like full accident. I couldn't even remember what situation I was in, but I remember getting home and like, yeah, we got to take us out to the backyard now.
Oh my God.
I mean, you're talking, Scott, to 3 New Yorkers who don't have backyards to hose themselves off in.
I don't have a backyard to hose myself
yeah,
off.
people talk about the
that sounds like a luxury.
If I had a backyard, just go out there.
Just sit in the backyard.
I mean, I for a while was on a project where I was living in Joshua Tree in a cave. And we did the hole in the ground. So you would have to, if you had to shit, you would take the shovel and you would just, dig 12 inches, shit in the hole, toilet paper goes down and cover it back up. And it's the most exhilarating way to shit.
Wow. Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, just no walls, very, very little smell, depending on how far you dig.
Yeah. That's amazing.
I've shit in a lot of places, but that has not been on my list. But now I'm going to have to put it on there. I gotta find a way to shit in a hole.
Gotta bring that shovel, that shit shovel.
I've shit in my kitchen garbage can. I've shit in my pants. Never in a hole.
Well, thanks for sharing those, and it's pretty amazing. I wish we had a backyard so I could have a hose. That would be fucking amazing, but we don't. So, but that's things to look forward to.
This reminds me of that famous Robin Quivers story when Robin from the Howard Stern show was jogging and she shit her pants and she came up on a gardener with a hose and she asked him to spray her down.
Nice. That's a good one. It's like a life-size bidet, really.
Classic.
Yeah,
pretty much. Oh my God. Well, unless you guys have anything else to add, we should get into a little game.
Let's do it.
We have a little game we like to call Shitty Choices. Shitty Choices. So for today, you have, would you rather lose your genitals or have buttholes for eyes?
Oh.
Does shit come out of that?
I didn't think that far. This is more just like a just aesthetic kind of question.
Okay.
But let's just say, they're fully operational buttholes. So yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna go buttholes for eyes just because you could just get away with sunglasses all the time. It'd be sort of this mystery behind there.
Yeah, you could even have sunglasses with like tubes. That's
right.
sort of like
Somehow,
Like shit tubes.
shit tubes. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you there. Yeah, I gotta keep the Jennies.
All right, Ellen.
I am losing my genitals because I'm a photographer by trade. I kind of need my eyeballs.
Yeah, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to go with losing the genitals as well. I feel like I'd probably get way more. I'll be way more effective with work and things. I won't be thinking about sex all the time.
True.
Would I still have a working butthole?
I mean, I guess. No working. Everything's gone. The whole plumbing's gone down
I
there.
was going to say, because at least I could have anal
I could do
sex,
that.
but
nothing.
It's like shit just builds up now.
You're like a Barbie doll. It just magically in this scenario world, it just magically, just goes away. All right, so we got two.
You just sweat it out.
Yeah, it sweats out your pores.
Is it like blowing your nose where like you can pick a nostril, like
It
you
just,
could
like,
like
slides
close
out.
one? Yeah.
I mean, look, I can add to it. Yeah, sure, why not? But okay, so we got 2 for butthole eyes and 2 for no genitalia. All right, we'll see what the audience has to say about that.
yes, join us on Instagram and vote in that poll.
Yeah. Do it.
Are we gonna get a Photoshop?
I mean, what's so funny? The reason I thought about that particular one a while ago because I saw someone make a meme. It said like, "You have really nice eyes." It was like 2 buttholes. I thought it was really funny, so I'm like, "Yeah, this is great." All right, so we'll get you guys out of here in a little bit. We're gonna do some news first, so here we go. Yes. So I was on Popular Science reading this article at work, and then somehow I wound up in this weird rabbit hole, and I found out like this hilarious title. This was from 2013. FYI, how much cocaine can you fit in your body?
Oof.
So basically, they were talking about drug mules and the science of like drug muling and like how it's become like, it's like a big thing and like how they've gotten so advanced with these little stuffed packets and like, it's like wax and it's got a layer of that. There's like a layer of paper. Like it's just this whole crazy thing. And they were showing like confiscated one that was inner layer of latex and wax and just extra wax and food plastic wrap. And it's all tied up in a knot. And some of these drug mules get like $3,000 at a time. For someone who's got no money, it's supposed to be awesome, I guess. It's amazing. And they literally just put them on a plane, a ticket, and directions to like where to go. Or maybe they don't give them the actual written on paper. Maybe it's committed to memory, so they're not like getting involved.
I wonder what percentage of people that do cocaine regularly have like ingested cocaine that was once in someone's butthole.
Probably
like
is
it
like
95%?
Like probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not a cocaine user, but I imagine like that's like a huge percentage, which is crazy. I mean,
so what is the maximum that you can get up there or in there?
Well, that's one of the big questions. And they said, unless you're doing some kind of crazy practicing stretching your rectal capacity, the average rectal capacity on the high end for a normal spectrum is about 0.6 kilos, which I did a conversion. It's about 1.3 pounds.
Wow.
I feel like your 2-inch by 15-inch, that might have like been more than 1.3 pounds.
I mean, 0.6 kilos. I just did a conversion.
The one in the antiques in the antique
Ellen.
store bathroom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you might have a new career.
I mean, I think these are just pellets too. I don't think these are like just one giant.
You could be doing like
cocaine.
5-6K per trip.
Yeah, I could do it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's a lot. That's a lot of coke, and especially if like, oh my god, that thing like ruptured.
I sent you also, there was a Supreme Court case of a woman who is a drug mule, and she went to the Supreme Court about like having to shit in front of people. And like this, I sent you like that article from that book Gulp that I read, because there's a whole section just about drug muling and like people in prison and the amount of stuff that they can, like cell phones they can shove up there and stuff.
It's a whole thing.
Like, yeah, it's intense. It's way more of a thing than we could ever imagine.
Someone brought up the goatsy meme recently, and I hadn't thought about that in years, and I had to go look because I'd sort of forgotten. Glad I looked.
Oh, that's
You guys seen it in a while?
Goatsy was brought up to us by a guest more recently than I never even heard of them.
Yeah.
And I was like,
until
oh,
now, yeah.
It was like one of the first memes, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Well,
Yeah, it's really interesting. It was like one of the first viral images is this goatsy image. I mean, this is pretty early on.
Yeah. Well, this guy, the author, also mentioned that like, well, doctors and people saying like it's actually, if you want to maximize your drug muling, you actually want to take it orally. You can get more in there.
yes.
But either way, there's like all these like issues of like tearing your anus, like just things. Obviously, you're putting all these foreign objects in there, but I just found that fascinating. Like 1.3 pounds of coke can just put up someone's asshole, and if you're really gifted, probably more. So that's kind of amazing.
It's just also scary to like, when is it actually coming out of you? You know?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
I'm sure they give you
Some people,
kind of
like you, Dave, poop, like when the blue poop challenge, shit comes out of you much faster than somebody like me. I would be a really great mule.
I'm sure but I'm sure the second that mule gets past security and they get picked up, they're instantly giving them like all kinds of like
Laxatives.
to make them go. So
Yeah.
that's number one. That's coming out quick. So, but with that ridiculous story, Lee and Scott, thank you so much for being on our show. The fact that you guys are amazing entrepreneurs doing the right thing with TP is like, especially in this day and age, we need all the good things out there in life. And I'm really happy you guys are doing that. And I can't wait to be a subscriber.
This has been a ton of fun. We had, for all the listeners out there, we've got a Hey Poopy 25 discount going.
Nice.
Yay!
That's amazing.
So check it out. If this conversation has been stimulating and piqued your curiosity,
That is incredible.
we're here to help.
It's a promo code, Hey Poopy.
You got it. Hey Poopy 25.
Nice.
Yes.
We love it.
So go there.
Do it.
Go to the website, plug in Hey Poopy 25 for that 25% off.
Yeah.
And do you have social media? Where else would you guys like us to go to find y'all?
Yeah, we're on Instagram. It's plant_paper. And yeah, we're on there. We're pretty active on there. And then, check out our website, plantpaper.us.
And our TikTok.
Oh, for
Ranking
real?
too.
Yeah. Well, that's just, I think it's just at PlantPaper on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Excellent. Well, do all those things. Use the promo code. Your butt will thank you. And thanks for laughing, learning everything but with us.
And happy pooping, everybody, and enjoy your butthole.
For more info, go to heypoopypodcast.com or email us at heypoopypodcast@gmail.com. You can send in show ideas, guest requests. Check us out on Twitter at heypoopy, Instagram at heypoopypodcast, TikTok, heypoopypodcast, and our awesome new Facebook fan page. Go check it out at heypoopypodcast. We're also on Discord at heypoopydumps, or you can contact us at our new awesome hotline, 203-998-5579.
Hey Poopy Podcast is brought to you by Perfect for Entertainment. Produced by Dave and Ellen. Edited by Dave. Executive producer Stormy Leather. Theme song by Jordan Perlson. Hey Poopy!